Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Unhaul book challenge. I am moving hopefully in less than a month. That means I have a bunch of books I need to get rid of, so stick around to see what books I'm going to unhaul. Alright guys, before we get into this video, I just want to say I did not create this challenge. It was originally created by BookandLala, and I will leave her original video linked down below in the description. Also, if you're new to my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday, and if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram. It is linked down in the description below. I am terrible at updating it, but I am trying to get better. I've set lots of reminders, so hopefully there'll be new stuff on there at least twice a week. And with that being said, let's get into this challenge. All right, the first challenge is a book that you rated low. This was easy. So, Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This was a doozy. It took me a long time to read, and I didn't enjoy any of it. It just was not for me, but I wanted to say that I read it, so I finished it, and it was a time. It was something, but this pretty much follows, God, I don't even remember this book. It follows a girl who is taken. Her father, I think, loses a bet, and he gives this gang his daughter, and it's a reverse harem romance, and it ends up like the gang isn't as bad as she thought, and it was not my cup of tea. So I will 100% be rehoming this, finding someone to give this book to because I was not a fan. All right, the next prompt was a book that you changed your mind about, and this was a little difficult for me, but I ended up picking The Push by Ashley Audrain. And this is a psychological thriller that I read in one sitting, but I just felt it's a very disturbing book. And it follows this woman who ends up having a child, and she's not really sure if she wants to be a mother, and she just doesn't bond with her daughter right away. And she starts to believe that her daughter might have some sociopathic tendencies, but you're not really sure if the daughter does have these tendencies or if the mother is just projecting her feelings onto her daughter. And it goes from there. It's a very quick read, but like I said, it's just very disturbing, and every time I think about it, I just feel like icky. It's the best word I can describe, which is a terrible word. But yeah, overall, I was not a huge fan of this book. Wasn't for me. And I think there will be people out there that will enjoy this. I will definitely be bringing this to my used bookstore because I think if you like thrillers, you might enjoy this. For me, it was just a miss. All right, and next up is a series you couldn't finish, and I actually have two for this. So the first one, I'm sorry to say, is Bridgerton, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I actually ended up reading the second one in this, The Viscount Who Loved Me, and I still just wasn't a fan of this series overall. But for those of you who don't know, it follows Daphne and the Duke of Hastings, and they are pretty much doing a fake dating, and then as it progresses, they ended up having a relationship. That was a very simplistic way of describing it. But she wants to be like the top of like the social circle, and she ends up not getting a lot of proposals, and then the Duke of Hastings just wants to be left alone and not married to anyone, and they end up forming this fake dating relationship just to get everyone off their backs. So it's a very cute story. I actually enjoyed the Netflix adaptation way more than the book, which I feel like doesn't happen very often, although it also happened with Shadow and Bone. So Netflix, you're doing good things. But overall, wasn't a fan. And then the other series that I didn't love is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I thought I was gonna love this. This has everything I like. It has like creepy blood magic. I loved the setting. I just couldn't get in. Something about the writing I just wasn't a huge fan of. I don't know. It wasn't. Also another one that just wasn't for me. Next up is a book you DNF'd, and I actually have two for this, and funny enough, they are both contemporary romance. So the first one actually isn't an unhaul because I already unhauled it, but I just want to talk about it, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I was not a fan of it. I don't love office romance. I've learned that apparently about myself. So for the most part, I just didn't like either character. I didn't like the setting. I didn't like the story. So I ended up DNFing that more than halfway through. I think I only had a few chapters left, and I gave up on it. And the other one, surprisingly, spoiler alert, by Olivia Dade. I heard amazing things about this book. I was so excited to pick it up. The main character is a woman who writes fan fiction of a show that's very similar to Game of Thrones and ends up meeting one of the characters, and they start dating. And I liked it. I think what really threw me off with this one, oh my God, my computer just made a noise. I'm really sorry. What threw me off with this one is that there's like texting and like fan fiction and stuff throughout the book, and it just felt very jarring, like going from reading that and then going into like what was actually happening. I also didn't care for either character very much, and overall I just wasn't very engaged in this story. I think there are people out there that will really like this, and I think I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so like I did like some of those aspects. It definitely seems to be based off Game of Thrones, but overall just wasn't for me. Again, I know I keep saying that, but books are subjective, so I feel like I don't want to say it's a terrible book because some of you out there will probably enjoy it, but I personally wasn't a huge fan. A book you have multiple copies of, and I actually have 2 series for this. So the first one is just the first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I have since bought the new edition, and it's just a little bit more modern. It has like really cool neon, and I just prefer the new edition to the old edition. But I've talked about this book a lot. I actually really do enjoy this book, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the cards my review of it. But it pretty much follows I want to say Kiva, and that's the girl from Prison Healer, and that is not her name. Karu. So it follows Karu, who was raised by demons, and it has a Russian setting, and it's very, very pretty. I love Laini Taylor's writing. It's like a little lyrical, but also very easy to get through. And Kiva ends up seeing these handprints everywhere, and it turns out these handprints are being left by an angel. So it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Kiva, raised by demons, ends up kind of having a relationship with this angel, and it goes from there. It's very enjoyable. I loved this book. I thought it was very good. However, I just like the new edition better than this. And then the other one is Shadow and Bone. So I have the Fairy Loot edition, which I much prefer to this paperback. I also think I got this like in a box set. So I actually have all of the Shadow and Bone books in hardcover. So I don't need the paperback version. A book you'll never actually get to, and this hurts. I like look through my bookshelves, and there are a few books that I've had on there for a very long time that I keep meaning to pick up and I don't. But there's one that's been on there that I honestly know I'm probably never gonna read, and that is The Ninth Reign, and this is by Jen Williams. I think it was Elliot Brooks who was raving about this book, how much she loved it, and I picked it up and I just keep putting it off, and I just feel like I don't know, I'm never gonna, maybe in the winter I'll end up reading this, but I've had it for so long and I haven't read it yet, so I feel like it's probably time just to let it go. I also don't know like anything about this book. I just know it's a high fantasy with a really cool raven on the cover, so yeah, I think it's time. This will also be going in the Unhaul box. A book you bought because of the hype. So the reason I brought up The Hating Game, even though I already unhauled it, is because I bought this book before I finished reading The Hating Game, and now I realize I'm probably not a huge fan of Sally Thorne. But Second First Impressions, I think, was just released, and I saw a bunch of people talking about it, and I hadn't read The Hating Game yet, and I thought I would really enjoy this. Since then, I've realized I really don't love The Hating Game, and I think this is getting not so great reviews, so I'm probably just going to pass on it. I mean, it's not very high on my TBR, and I just don't see me picking it up anytime soon, so another one that I will be getting rid of. And this next one was such a disappointment because I really wanted to like it, and the prompt is a book you purchased because of the cover, and I did. I saw this online. I believe there was a booktuber that mentioned it, and then I Googled it, and I thought it looked really cool. Phoenix Unbound by Grace Draven. So the premise of this book is really cool. It follows a witch who lives in this area that I think it's every like summer or something, there is a girl given from the town as like a ritual sacrifice by the main kingdom, and this girl's power is fire. She's a witch, so she goes as the sacrifice every year for her town, and one day a gladiator realizes that it's the same girl going, and typically gladiators don't live very long time, but since he's lived so long, he's seen this girl multiple times, so he kind of strikes up a deal. He's like, you help free me and I won't out your secret, and it goes from there. Overall, it was kind of boring. The beginning of this is very violent and a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. And then after you get through the beginning, it's just kind of like traveling, and I just couldn't get really into it. So I was very depressed because I read this right after Radiance by Grace Draven, and I loved Radiance, but for the most part, I just was not a fan of this. All right, this next one's kind of funny, and I'm just going to talk about it very briefly. And it's a book you don't know anything about. I've had this on my shelf, I think, for 2 years now, and I got it at Christmas. I don't even remember buying it. I don't know why I bought it, but it's Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe. I just don't ever see me picking this up. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know if you guys, if you ever buy on Amazon, which I try not to do anymore, but I used to buy a lot of books on Amazon, they used to have like buy two, get one free. And I feel like I got this for that reason and then just never opened it. So definitely be getting rid of this one. And the last prompt I feel so bad about. So it's a book that you didn't buy yourself. So this book my husband bought me, and he actually put a lot of work in because I think he saw me reading the first one. My birthday was coming up, so he got me the sequel. Unfortunately, I didn't love the first one, and that is The Fires of Vengeance, and this is by Evan Peters. This is the second book, the sequel to Rage of Dragons, which I enjoyed, I just didn't really love. So I've had this for a while. It's a really nice hardback, and I really like the thought he put into it, but I don't see me ever reading the next one, unfortunately. All right, guys, those are all the books I'm getting rid of before my big move. I am so excited to be moving. And yeah, if you guys have read any of these books and liked them, didn't like them, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. I said this already, but I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week. Bye.